I don't think anyone could have expected when the first trailer dropped in 2019 featuring Gangsta's Paradise and... oh dear, excuse me. I don't think anyone could expect that this would blossom into a very successful film trilogy with a TV spin-off and potentially more sequels and TV spin-offs on the way, especially considering it was announced during a time when the series was probably at its biggest low point, and that the first movie was built on the basis of a common Hollywood template of take cartoony mascot character and make them come to the real world and sit in a car with James Marsden. Also, the build-up to finding out what live-action Sonic would look like— Oh! Okay, he's gone. They killed him. They saved the movie by killing him so we didn't have to suffer— Oh, I forgot he came back! So with that kind of development from movie 1 to movie 3, it isn't just a one-to-one adaptation. It takes the opportunity to embrace elements of the games and still does its own creative takes on things. So how different is the Sonic movie world to the Sonic game world? Let's find out. For starters, in the movie's world, Sonic and friends all come from different planets across the galaxy and use warp rings to travel from place to place, with Sonic ending up on Earth for his own safety as it was also the resting place of the Master Emerald hidden by a tribe of owls. Meanwhile in the games, Sonic and friends are actually Earthlings, and it's just an accepted fact that humans, animals, and human-like animals just coexist. Human-like animals having histories spanning back thousands of years, and they're more commonly found on islands. Warp rings, rather than being a standard form of travel across the galaxy, are creations of the 7 Chaos Emeralds used to access pocket dimensions they created themselves called special stages. In the movies, Sonic's old island home was also the home of an owl tribe and an Echidna tribe that had been at war with each other for centuries. We know very little about the owl tribe, for its only member we have seen is Sonic's guardian Longclaw, who we are told is the last of her tribe and is seen sacrificing herself to get Sonic to safety when the Echidna tribe attack to claim the ultimate power for themselves. Between the first movie and the second, I have no idea if this is supposed to mean the power inside Sonic as they tried to kidnap him, or to use Longclaw to lead them to the Master Emerald. Maybe both? I don't know, they never make it clear. The Echidna tribe is full of elite warriors bent on conquest, led by their elder leader Pachacamac.
Yeah, Chief Pamachaka.
Pachacamac.
Parmesan.
Pa.
Pe.
Cha.
Jor.
Ka.
Mar.
Mac.
Za.
You know what? Mac's fine.
The entire tribe left, leaving only one member behind. A young child, Knuckles the Echidna, left on his own as none of his tribe returned with their fates unknown. Neither movie elaborates on what happened to them after they tried to kill Longclaw. In the games, the Echidna tribe led by Pachacamac, who lived in what would later become both Mystic Ruins and Angel Island. Rather than existing 10 or so years ago, they were around over 1,000 years ago before meeting their fate when they tried to take the ultimate power for themselves instead of protecting it, harming Chao that got in the way. Knuckles himself wasn't exactly a member of the tribe as much as he was a descendant of them, as following that tragedy, a section of their land with the Master Emerald Shrine on it was lifted into the air, becoming Angel Island, with only a few surviving members of the tribe aboard, and took it upon themselves to be the guardians of that island to protect the Master Emerald from any threats who wish to abuse its power. Meanwhile, the island depicted in the movie is based on South Island, the setting of Sonic 1. And as for the owls, well, there is no owl tribe in the games. Well, as far as we know. But South Island is populated with ancient-looking ruins from a civilization long past, and are full of what appear to be depictions of owl faces, which could have been the inspiration for the owls in the movie world. Now, in the world of the movies, long ago, Echidna warriors forged the 7 Chaos Emeralds together to become the all-powerful Master Emerald, which can grant unlimited power to whoever possesses it, making their thoughts reality, but was stolen by the owls to prevent anyone from ever using that power, and building the temple and shrine the emerald was kept in. But later on, the Master Emerald shatters, separating from the Chaos Emeralds, and afterwards, Knuckles uses his power to reform the shards back into the Master Emeralds, separate from the smaller Chaos Emeralds. In the games, however, the Master Emerald, as far as we know, has existed just as long as the Chaos Emeralds, if not longer, and is their primary controller, able to nullify them or make them more powerful, and has been the sacred property of the Echidnas for generations, and were also the ones who built its shrine where it is still kept to present day. Because of his lineage being exposed to it for generations, Knuckles has a connection to the Master Emerald, granting him the ability to sense the energy of emerald shards as well as being to reform them back into one piece. In the movie, Sonic has a mysterious power of unknown origin and is heavily sought after, presumably the source of his super speed, and as he moves quickly leaves behind blue electricity. In moments of great stress, Sonic's body charges up, making his quills and eyes glow a bright blue, with a lot more electricity around him. Sonic masters this power at the end of the first movie when he stops being afraid and has been able to control it at will ever since. A single charged up quill seems to be capable of unmeasurable energy that was able to power Robotnik's machines. And even though the Echidna seems to want this power, we find out Knuckles already had a power almost identical to Sonic's, but red and more focused on power than speed, and his charged up quills have also been used to power technology. In the games, Sonic doesn't really have a power like that. Sonic was born with the gift of great speed, and most of his abilities are athletic based, primarily using the momentum of his speed and his Hedgehog rolling to take advantage of the environment around him. But as the years went by, Sonic would continue to get faster and faster and would gain a blue glow around him while in motion, and in time would develop an ability called Boost, which uses energy from rings and sometimes wisps, it's weird threading sentences together when you're saying wisps, to propel him forward like a rocket with a powerful blue aura around him destroying obstacles and robots like a battering ram. However, in Sonic Frontiers, which came out after the first two movies, Sonic's movie power is directly referenced in this game. When crossing the cyber barrier, Sonic gets entangled with cyberspace, granting him a power connecting him to the Starfall Islands, which upgrades him over time. Collecting the max amount of rings gives Sonic a temporary powered up state, with a cinematic recreating this shot in the first movie where Sonic's full power awakens. Blue eyes and electricity included. In the movies, both Sonic and Eggman have quite a bit of backstory. Sonic never knew his parents and was raised from a young age by Longclaw before being sent to Earth, where he would spend several years living in secret, and we watch him grow from fearful to brave as his story progresses. Sonic in the games does not have an origin nor a backstory, and we do not know anything about his past prior to the first moment you can play as him in Sonic 1. However, there is a bit of vague mystery to him. We know he's been on his own without a family exploring island after island his whole childhood, and he is one of the few characters with connection to chaos energy, but unlike the others who have lore reasons for it, Sonic's is never explained. Furthermore, Sonic's super transformation appears on a mural from ancient times on Angel Island, and most curiously bears an uncanny resemblance to Shadow the Hedgehog, who was created decades before Sonic was even born. Sonic assumes Shadow to be an imposter on first meeting, but Shadow, laying eyes upon Sonic for the first time, appears genuinely confused. On top of bearing identical physical abilities and the capability of using chaos control, there are way too many coincidences between the two that's never been elaborated since. And seemingly, the third movie follows this up, where both Sonic and Shadow seem equally confused why they look like each other.
Why do you look like me?
I don't look like you. You look like me. Why do you look like me?
Who are you? Why do you look like me?
This is a waste of time.
Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik in the movie starts out as a brilliant yet arrogant scientist who works with the United States government. He grew up as an orphan, leading him to resent the concept of love, family, and friendship.
I think I just threw up in my mouth.
And would use his advanced intellect to ruin anybody who would ever try to humiliate him. But throughout the progression of the movies, his ever-growing hubris, mustache, and hunger for power, as well as being hindered by that pesky blue hedgehog, you slowly see the transformation before your very eyes, as he grows from a government professional to ever more mad and insane and... But in the games, just like Sonic, Eggman does not have any origin or backstory. We learn quite a bit of his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, which inspired Ivo from a young age to become a brilliant scientist, and gives a direct connection to Eggman's great genius and gifts of both inventing machines and making archaeological discoveries. But other than that, and that he supposedly almost got a teaching degree, we know nothing about him prior to his first appearance in Sonic 1. Gerald Robotnik in the games had a long history, far too expansive to cover here, that connects so many aspects of the game world's lore. But upon the death of his beloved granddaughter Maria during the shutting down and covering up of Project Shadow, he lost his sanity and conducted an elaborate revenge scheme before being arrested and sentenced to death by gun, with his execution recorded on tape. But his revenge plan lived on 50 years later. So by contrast, in the movie's world, Gerald Robotnik, 50 years after the shutting down of Project Shadow, is actually alive and well, and at a whopping 110 years old. I don't know what you're doing, fella, but it is working for you. In the movies, G.U.N., Guardian Units of Nation, was formed between the events of the first two movies as an advanced military force to keep the world safe from threats as dangerous as Robotnik and Sonic. Whilst in the games, G.U.N. has been an active entity for decades, at least way over 50 years, and prior to the creation of Space Colony Arc, as G.U.N. were the ones who funded Gerald Robotnik's research. Rounding off for today, in the movie, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles live in the attic above the home of human characters Tom and Maddie, and the 5 of them, plus their dog Ozzy, are like a little family who live in Green Hills, Montana. And with the Owl and Echidna tribes long gone, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles vow to stay together as the new Guardians to protect the Master Emerald from evil. Meanwhile, in the games, things are very different. As mentioned earlier, the Master Emerald's history is pretty different and stays on the shrine at Angel Island where Knuckles lives, and is the last of the Echidnas left on Angel Island and is the Master Emerald's sole protector. But Knuckles will occasionally leave the island to join other characters on adventures. Tails, even though he is still a kid, is rather independent and has had multiple residencies, originally hailing from Westside Island to a small hut-like house he built to store his inventions on Coco Island, before setting up his primary workshop in Mystic Ruins, where he spends most of his time in present day tinkering away working on his planes and gadgets with a small living space on top. Tails also occasionally occupies a small house located in Emerald Town shaped like his own head. And Sonic proudly doesn't have a home. The Earth is his home, and he is a nomad constantly on the run in search of new thrills and adventure, and will stop anywhere for a bite to eat and a place to sleep. From a resort hotel to a treetop to a grassy field, Sonic's not picky. He will even occasionally crash at Tails' places, where Tails lets him store his only personal belongings. Just don't ask me about Sonic Shuffle and Sonic and the Secret Rings. I don't know how to explain those. And that wraps things up for now. I know there's so many more differences between the world of the Sonic movies and the world of the Sonic games, but this will be all for today, as there will surely be a lot more to talk about with the movie universe in future, but until then, stay tuned and stay awesome.